Just me talking to you about an Eagle Scout project. I am dyslexic. Everything I'm about to tell you about, I've been through myself. I've learned about myself. I've been and I've experienced everything I'm about to talk to you guys about. So thank you for coming. We'll get started. So dyslexia. Dyslexia is the most common learning disability that we have. That's what it is. That's dyslexia's claim to fame. This is a picture from my first grade journal. In first grade, that's what I was writing. That's what I was bringing home. I brought that home every single day from kindergarten, preschool, first grade, fourth grade. That's what it looked like. Can any of you read that? Raise your hand if you can read that. All right, you guys don't count.
The reading.
You guys don't count. You guys don't count. The first line is, friends are someone you can run with. That's the first two lines. The top, and that's what that says. Here's another one. This one's got translations for you. That one, I think this one was from my first, second, third grade journals, somewhere around there. That's still what I'm bringing home. And it's translated on the side because you still probably can't read it. Up there at the top, that's my name. According to that, I am Morgagan Max Flynn. And that's how I went until about 6th grade, before I finally learned to spell my own name. So, what is dyslexia? Dyslexia is a lot more than writing problems, spelling problems, text reading problems. It gets deeper. It gets a lot deeper. It breaks down into problems reading nonsense words, language processing problems. Just writing, spelling, and reading are just the tip of the iceberg there. What does dyslexia affect? It's a lot more than just your English grade. It's your entire life. It's going to affect your career, math, spelling, education, and it gets down into your health and your life. Now, health, you're not going to end up in the hospital because of dyslexia. It's more of a mental health, and I'll get to that later on in the presentation. So what does dyslexia look like? Dyslexia looks different for every person. It blurs, it might focus in and out, shift up and down, or float around on the page. Someone will pull apart or scrunch back together. It's different for every person. It's not the same. It varies. Person to person, it changes. Here's another example. For me, that one on the top, right? That one over there, that says what dyslexic users see. That's what dyslexia looks like for me. Now, it's not quite that extreme, but that's a good visualization of it. And over here, that all says teapot to me. The first time I saw that, I was really confused as to why someone wrote teapot that many times. Then I actually looked at it and realized it was spelled backwards, forwards, top to bottom. It didn't even phase me the first time. So, dyslexia can affect a lot more than just your reading and your writing. Like I said earlier, it can affect your numbers. Now, in a critical subject like math, if you get in there and you've got 2,439, and then you have to copy that, and it becomes 2,493, it's wrong. You're done, you missed a point, you failed your test. That has happened more times than I can tell you in my math grade. And it's not there for everyone. But dyslexia affects a lot, is what I'm trying to explain here. And when it comes down to minute details, when a tenth of a percent, or where you put a decimal place, is going to make or break your grade, it turns into a problem. So it brings us back to what is dyslexia. Dyslexia is a neurological condition caused by a different wiring of the brain. My brain is literally wired differently than yours. Positive to negative, negative to positive, instead of the other way around. So think about it this way. If you write with your right hand, and suddenly it switches, and now you write with your left hand, you break your right hand. You no longer have it. That all you have is your left hand. That's how it is for me. I'm trying to read with my left hand. That's the best way I have to explain it. So, the magic numbers for dyslexia. If you break your hand and you have to write with the other hand, eventually you're going to be able to write with that other hand, and you're going to be good. It'll look just like your right hand eventually. It's going to take a lot more time. That is exactly how it is with a dyslexic. For a non-dyslexic, it takes 50 to 80 repetitions to grasp a basic concept like the letter A. So A says ah or ah. That's 50 to 80 repetitions for a normal non-dyslexic. For dyslexic, it can take anywhere between 1,500 and 5,000 repetitions to grasp the same basic letter sound. That's it. Right here in the middle, that's 1,500. On the far side there, that is 5,000. Almost. That's 2,500. That is only half of what it could potentially take for a dyslexic to grasp a really basic concept. So, what does that show? Patience. You gotta be patient. It's gonna take time. Studies, but we're not stupid. Studies have shown that many dyslexics have above average intelligence, or the same as everybody else. We're just wired differently. To prove this, Albert Einstein, Steven Spielberg, Alexander Graham Bell, Paul Ruffalo, slaughtered that name, but he founded FedEx and Kinko's. Steve Jobs, everyone knows Steve Jobs. Anderson Cooper from CNN. Jay Leno, Walt Disney, Agatha Christie, who's an author. Woodrow Wilson, George Washington, and Andrew Jackson. The last 3 United States presidents, every single one of them dyslexic. And that's just a few. If you get online, you Google famous dyslexics or famous people with ADHD, dyslexia. You're going to get lists and lists, pages on page. They're out there. We're not stupid. We're probably smarter than you guys. Not to brag, but we are. So I don't suffer from dyslexia. I live with it. I work with it. I suffer from the ignorance of people who think they know what I can and cannot do. It's not a problem. I still have a very functioning brain. I have a functional arm. It's just not my strong side. So, what are the things people think I can and cannot do? Here's a few of the myths and misconceptions about dyslexia. Now, I say a few because these are just a few. I think I've got 6 of them in here. There's tons of them. Get online, Google this again. You'll get pages upon pages. There's a lot. So, dyslexia is something you grow out of. Now, my 4-year-old has dyslexia by the time he's in high school. It'll all go away. That's false. Dyslexia is a lifelong issue. Although many dyslexics learn to read accurately, they may continue to read slowly and not automatically. You're going to learn to write with you got to learn to write with your left hand. This is a myth. This is false. Another myth, dyslexia is rare. When in fact, the National Institute of Health Research has shown that dyslexia affects 20% or 1 in every 5 people. We're going to count 5. We've got what? 4 chairs, add 1 of you is dyslexic. And you add that up, that's a lot of people. That's not that uncommon. Here's another myth. Dyslexia is an innate, incurable, and permanent disorder condition. So that's false. While dyslexia is a lifelong learning disability, early, intensive, and effective intervention can help a student keep up and retain his grade point level in school, as well as minimize the negative effects dyslexia can have on life, such as a low self-esteem. There you go. Myth. So, another myth. Dyslexia doesn't exist. That's extremely false. Don't just forget it. It's real, I promise you. There has been over 30 years of documented scientific evidence and research proving the existence of dyslexia. It is one of the most common learning disabilities out there. 1 in every 5. That's a lot. So here's another myth. Dyslexia is a fad. Very false. Research on dyslexia, groundbreaking research on dyslexia was done as early as the 1920s. We're in 2015. In 5 more years, this has been going on for 100 years. We've got 5 more years, and dyslexia will be 100 years old as far as the research-based side of it goes. It's not a fad. It's been around for a very long time. It's going to be around forever. First research-based intervention program, remember that's important. We'll come back to that later. 1932. So, last myth, dyslexics are lazy. No. People with dyslexia have to work harder than non-dyslexic. People with dyslexia have to decode written word or text, a skill which most people take for granted. Believe it or not, there is actually a code, a hieroglyphic, if you'll bear with me there, language in language. Each syllable, each letter, each sound is broken down by a different sign, a different code. You guys, anyone who doesn't have dyslexia, it's just automatic, oh, you read it, you got it. After 80 repetitions, we have to learn every single rule that there is out there to learn to read. So why does this matter? 15 to 20% of the population has a language-based learning disability. Big number. 70 to 80% of this percentage have difficulties in reading. So 70 to 80%, 20%, still really big numbers. And dyslexia is the most common cause of a reading-based difficulty. Big numbers. It affects a lot of people. And it doesn't care where you came from, who your daddy is. It doesn't care at all. If you've got dyslexia, you've got dyslexia, and it's going to affect you no matter where you were born, who you were born with. It doesn't discriminate. So, once again, why does this matter? Dyslexia affects one's ability to read so much that the majority of individuals with dyslexia rarely read over a 4th grade level. Now, 4th grade, you're in 4th grade, C-spot run. Now you're in college, and you're still on C-spot run. You have econ. How are you supposed to keep up with the class? You can't. It is impossible to keep up when you're still reading that slowly. So why does this matter? Youth with untreated dyslexia are more likely than their non-dyslexic peers to drop out of high school, to become unemployed, underemployed, or incarcerated. So unemployed, no job. Underemployed, flipping hamburgers. Or incarcerated, that's jail. It can be a problem. So, the good news here is dyslexia is treatable. In the 1930s, neurologist Dr. Samuel T. Orton, educator, psychologist, and Gilman developed the Orton-Gillingham approach to reading instruction for students with dyslexia. This is still around. This is the basis of what we have dyslexia intervention on today. Their approach was research-based, sequenced, and systematic. It's very important to remember repetition, repetition, repetition. And it combines multi-sensory techniques with the structure of the English language. So multi-sensory, more than just look at it, touch, sight, other senses. The Orton-Gillingham approach. Here we go. So multi-sensory, auditory, kinesthetic, visual. More than just looking at it, like we get in school. So my story. What qualifies me to be up here talking to you right now? I haven't been to school. I don't have a PhD. What I do have is 16 years of experience being dyslexic, almost 17. I'm very dyslexic. I'm dyslexic. I've been through start to finish, if you will. From the struggles of not knowing I was dyslexic, to being diagnosed, through all the intervention, to where I am now. So what my parents saw, in the very, very beginning, they saw that 1st grade journal. That's what I brought home every day. They saw that I couldn't master the alphabet. I flipped my letters and my numbers. B's and D's still get me today. Dog was bog. It still is. I lost place when I was reading. I read the same line over and over and over again. I read words backwards. And I couldn't recognize words I just sounded out. If I saw trampoline right here and I sounded out trampoline, and then right here underneath it, I saw trampoline again. Just one sentence. It is right here. It is literally kitty corner in the book. Trampoline, got it, read. Now I'm stuck. I got to start all over again from the very beginning because I can't read trampoline. I couldn't consistently count the dots on a domino. Now you know a domino, you've got the little dots there. If I'm looking at it and I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it's got 7 dots on it. Alright, she takes it back, hands it back to me, same domino. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's got 5 on it. This time it has 5. And I would never, I would get the same number, but not consistently. And it was probably the wrong number. I couldn't tell my left and right shoes apart. The way I put my shoes on in the morning, I walk up, put my feet in, and then I walk around for a half hour, and if my feet started to hurt or it still felt funny, I switched them. This doesn't help. This is nothing. I hate this. They're both hells. And I really began to hate reading. And because of this, my self-esteem took a dive. Now, my sisters, I very clearly remember my sisters sitting down. Sunday morning, they'd sit down, they'd pick up a book, read it, put it down, pick up another book, and read it, and they were in bed at 10 o'clock and sleep. So I tried this, and I'd pick it up, and I'd read, keep reading, and about 11:30, same night, I'd be on page 10. And I hated it. I couldn't read, and it was killing me. If I went to eat my cereal in the morning, that's all I did. All I did was eat the cereal, because I couldn't read the box. I couldn't tell you what was on the box. I can't read. Couldn't read. So, what did I experience? Letters would shiver and move around on the page. They move. They are physically moving on the page. Now, I know they're printed, and I know they're solid on the page. But if you're telling little 4th grade me that, I'm going to call you a liar, because they move. If any of you have seen the Percy Jackson movie, there's a scene in the beginning where they're in the museum in the beginning, and he translates the Greek letters into English, just in his head. And the way they depict that is it's exaggerated, yes, but it's pretty close to what dyslexia is. They move, they shift around, they blur. I saw that, and it blew me away. Mom, that's what it is. That's what it is. I saw it a couple of years ago. And we've been trying to explain this to my parents who aren't dyslexic, but me and my brother and my sister are. And the best way we had up to that point is, imagine if you had marbles on a sheet of glass and you're just holding it. Try it sometime. They shiver and they move. You will never get them to hold still. That's what reading is. That's what dyslexia is for me. I was put in my own reading group in school. Now, think back a long ways to elementary school. Now, reading time comes along. 6 of you go over with your volunteer mom and you read your book. You've all got the same book. You take turns reading. Read for about 15 minutes and you go back to your seat. I was in my own reading group. It was just me. So I walked over, just me, to my volunteer mom, and I picked up my book. And 30 minutes later, we might have gotten a couple sentences done, and I walked back. I remember one book. I don't remember what grade. I don't remember what book it was. All I remember was hating it. It had one of those blowfish, the big scary one from Finding Nemo with the little lamp on its head. It had a picture of that. And I could not get past that book for what felt to me, I don't know how long it was, but to me it was months. And I'd walk over every day and I'd sit down. And I'd read and I'd get the first 3 sentences down because I had them memorized. And I'd get to the 4th sentence, no. I'd look at it, I'd sound it all out, no. So 30 minutes later, I'd go back. We tried again the next day, and this went on for a while. They'd work me down, so I worked down to the level before. I'd read all the books, and I'd work back up to where I was. Get to the same book, same page, same 3 sentences were good. Sentence number 4. And I remember hating that little volunteer mother who was there to help me. She's trying to help me learn to read. But I couldn't move on. I couldn't progress. I hit a wall. I physically hit a wall with my dyslexia. I wanted to read, but it was impossible. It was the wall. Spelling tests were the worst day of the week. Reading was the worst time. Reading time was the worst time of the day. And we skipped a slide. And reading time was the worst time of the day. So think about this. I've got to take it, and I've got to memorize this word. I have to write it for a spelling test. and that's what I'm going to get graded on. And I have a letter that tells me just how smart I am. Just how smart I am. In elementary school, now I get that home, I failed every single test for 6 years. And I take it home, and all I see is a 0, right next to 10, 15, 25, 0, maybe a 1, maybe a 2, maybe I got lucky. But you fail every single test for 6 years, your self-esteem is going to take a hit. And when you're little, elementary school, and you don't know any better, all you know is smart, in the middle, and stupid, where I was about here in my mind. I don't know. Here is probably more accurate. But it's going to hurt. It's going to take some hits on your self-esteem. So I felt stupid. I'm down here. All my classmates and sisters, they're way up here. That's smart. That's what I wanted to be, but I'm way down here in my mind. That's not true. But to me, that's where I was. I felt like a failure to my parents because I couldn't live up to what I thought I should be, what I had always seen to be smart. And that's what you should be like. You should grow up like them someday. I felt like a failure to my parents because I couldn't get there. I felt like a failure to my teachers because I couldn't learn. I was isolated. They didn't mean to. But if you're in your own little reading group, you're over here, maybe you've got little Johnny over here with you sometimes. But that's it. Isolation sucks. And there's self-esteem again. And depression. That's what happens when your self-esteem gets hit that many times. I was extremely depressed because of this. So how did I cope? How did I get around it? During reading time, so when I finally got back into the reading groups, we've got a circle of 6 people right here. And Joey reads, and Jimmy reads, and we've got Susie right here, and then I'm next. Susie starts reading, I gotta pee, and I'm done. Come back 15 minutes later, Susie's done. We've conveniently skipped me. Now we're on to Mark. And they go. Theoretically, works perfect every time. Eventually they catch on. But I did that a lot for a lot of years. And there was no way I was going to tell my parents that the letters are moving on the page. Because I know they're not supposed to do that. And if I tell my parents that, I'm a freak. And no one can know that. No one can know that I'm stupid. No one can know that I'm different. Because different's wrong and different's bad. In my mind, that's what's going on. That's what we're here to not teach. Because that's not true. And I was afraid of getting in trouble for being stupid. I was terrified that if someone found out, I was being shipped off to Siberia, being locked in a straitjacket for the rest of my life. Because I was a danger to society in my own mind. Little kid, but I didn't know any better. And this is all real. I mean, we laugh now, but this was all real. So what did my teachers say? Everything that I've described, that is normal childhood development. It happens. Every kid's going to break home a page that looks like that first grade journal every now and then. And every kid's going to flip his B's and D's and take a while to learn his rights and lefts. Yeah, it happens. But when a whole bunch of those things is stuck into one little kid for a whole lot of years, something's wrong. And it's probably dyslexia. So how did I survive? What did I use to help me get through it all? Intervention. I mentioned that I'd been through everything. I'd been through the intervention. I spent 4 years? 4, and then I went back, for another one. 4.5. I've been through a lot of the research-based intervention. It helps, it works. I can read, I can write, I can spell. I think I'm pretty good at it. A 504 plan, we'll come back to that. That's really important. We've got a whole slide. Self-advocacy, we've got a couple slides on that. That's really, really important. And just a side note, while I didn't have an individualized education plan or an IEP, this will be addressed on the list that is coming because, once again, that's really important. So when I started in intervention, I learned the spelling rules. I mentioned them earlier. There is a lot of rules to reading, writing, spelling. And you think, a lot, okay, 80, 90, maybe 100. No, a couple thousand. probably. I mean, there's hundreds of them. I would like to say there's a couple thousand of them. There's a lot. And what sucks about English is English does not care at all. He sees a rule, and I don't need to follow that. It breaks it. And there's a whole lot of those words, and I remember a couple years of going through and just learning to read, just memorize, because that's all there is. You have to memorize all of the rule breakers. So spelling started to make sense. After all of this, it started working. It started making sense. Hey, I can read my cereal. Hey, that says cornflakes and Kellogg's. And I figured out the ed suffix. Now you take jump, you want to make it past tense, so you put the ed on. J-U-M-P-E-T. I have to stop and think about that, because when I was practicing this in the last presentation, I actually spelled it wrong. Dyslexia stays with you. But I finally figured out the rules, and ED made that sound. And I realized I finally wasn't stupid. I wasn't going there to see a tutor because I was stupid. That was false. That finally started clicking in my head. And reading was possible. I could read. I hated this place. We're in a library. This place was terrible. I would rather die than come here as a child. Because all it is just useless paper that should have been burned and used for starting a fire. In my mind, this place was worthless. I actually understand that it's good stuff now, but it took me a while to get there. And to prove it, some of the books that I've read: Frankenstein, Tale of Two Cities, War of the Worlds, Red Badge of Courage, The Last of the Mohicans, Lone Survivor, all of the Aragon series. They're big books. I think there's 4 or 5 of them. Crucible and A Long Way Gone. That's just a couple of the ones that you might know. I've read a lot. I've read a lot more than that. I can read now. I actually enjoy reading. To myself. I don't like reading out loud. I still hate that. So we get back into the tools. The IEP, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act requires the public schools create an IEP, or an individual education plan for every child receiving special education services. So the IEP addresses the unique learning needs of the child. Pretty self-explanatory. It is a legal binding agreement. It is a contract between you and the school. And the schools are required to keep everything in the IEP. They are required to provide it. It is a legal contract between you and the school. Okay, Section 504. The Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act and the Americans with Disabilities Act specifies that no one with a disability can be excluded from participating in federally funded programs or activities, including elementary school, secondary school, or post-secondary school. So what is a 504 plan? A 504 plan identifies the accommodations and modifications a child with disabilities may need to be able to keep up with his or her peers. My 504 plan, I have one of these. I don't have an IEP, but I do have a 504 plan that I use religiously. Teachers are to provide me with a hard copy of notes so that I wouldn't have to copy from the board. Now, this is only when I request it. It's a heavy note day. I can walk up to them and ask them to print me your PowerPoint presentation, and I walk home with the physical slides. Now, I don't always use this, but if you think about it, I have to look up, I got to read the board, all right? I'm reading, something's already screwed up. Now I have to take that and I have to copy it onto a paper where I'm probably going to screw it up again. Now I get to take it home, and I get to read that, or I'm probably going to screw it up again. Hopefully memorize it, because it's already been screwed up 3 or 4 times. I'm probably going to memorize something wrong, spell something wrong. And then I have to use that on my test a week later. That's a lot of chances for error. That's a lot of problems there. So if I can take home my physical papers, I can set them down, and I can copy from just, I've got the notes from the teacher, and I can take those and I can put them straight onto my homework. It makes life a lot simpler. I would not receive a letter grade for my spelling. Now, this isn't in effect anymore, but in elementary school, I was little. A, B, C, D, F. I got a pass and I got a fail. That was it. the A, B, C, D, F did not apply. I got extra time for tests as I need. This is still in effect, and this is really cool because I actually got I got 2 hours extra on the ACT. I got 2 extra hours for that. And I can do it on the math test if I'm in math class and if our hour and 15 minutes is up and I'm still not done yet. I just hand it to my teacher and I come back after school or during lunch or whenever and I finish the test. Not everyone gets that. That's really cool. And I could ask my teachers to read a test question to me, not interpret. But if it's got a big, long, weird word, I can ask them to come over and read it for me and just clarify that I understand what that word says, or how that word is pronounced. Self-advocacy. This is important. This is you need to recognize what you need for your 504, your IEP. Now, if you have a dyslexic child, if you are dyslexic, this is what you need for you. For example, in junior high, I asked my teachers if I could take pictures, take out my iPod, and take a picture of the board. Just so I didn't have to copy down. Read, mess it up, write, mess it up, read again, mess it up, and hopefully it's usable later on. Rather than, this was before I could ask them for printed notes, and I still actually do this. But it's really easy to take out your phone, slide it open, and click a quick picture. Now I've got it, I can take it home, and I can just blow it up and I can read it. I still do this. I actually have physical folders for each period, and then a folder for the date, or the subject, or whatever. And I put it in, and I just put it away, and it's archived for me. And I still use that. I've actually got some of them on my phone, I think, right now still. I don't think I deleted them. Teachers love proactive students. If you walk up to them and ask, hey, can I do this for me? It's going to help me learn. They're going to say yes 99% of the time. And remember that mom and dad are not always going to be there for you. Eventually, you're going to have to grow up and fend for yourself in life. I still struggle with dyslexia. Spelling, writing legibly, that's a problem, and texting. I've got a couple of friends in the back. If you ask them about texting me, they describe it as learning a different language. They're both back there nodding. And I still don't like reading aloud, but I can. Because you can read it, mess it up, say it. Mess it up sometimes, it's embarrassing. Now, funny story about this. Took me a second while I was practicing this. I read that the United Dyslexic Church of Dog. It's actually Untied Dyslexic Church of Dog. I didn't know that, and I did not believe them until I actually typed it into Siri, and Siri read it for me. I was giving this to my mother and my old dyslexia tutor, and they were laughing hysterically, and I couldn't figure out what it was. Aren't shoes untied? Something going on. It still gets me, but just not as bad. Coping with dyslexia in school. Kids are really mean. Everyone likes to point out when you spelled something wrong. If a teacher spells something wrong in school on just a PowerPoint presentation, there's always that one annoying kid. You spelled it wrong. No, you have to change it right now. We can't do anything. And if they write it wrong on the board, you have to change it. I can't learn if it's spelled wrong. That kid box. I have problems with that kid. That kid also likes to come over and point out on my notes where I spelled everything wrong. I get really mad when someone starts pointing out and telling me that I'm stupid because of my dyslexia. But I can handle that and I get rid of them. Because I don't like rolling over and dying. If someone tells me I'm wrong, no, I'm right, you're wrong. Fight about it. I worry about the kids who aren't like this, though. When someone walks over and points out to them that they're stupid, tells them they're stupid, they just accept it because they don't know anything. This is why I'm doing this presentation, because I want no one to ever, ever, ever have to go through what I went through ever again. It was a lot of years of a lot of pain, a lot of work, and a lot of time, and a lot of struggle to get to where I am now. It can crush their self-esteem. It crushed mine, We have little kids here. Parents, at one time, I did not want to be here anymore. I wanted to be up there. And little 4th grade me, 6th grade me, that wasn't an option because I didn't know. But I honestly believe that if I had known that was an option, it's not. But if I had known, I would not be here giving you this presentation right now. I'd be there. I actually tried to run away one time, but I couldn't leave my dog. Could not leave my dog. We actually tried one time. We made it around the block. Parents asked where I was. I was taking the dog for a walk with my backpack full of food, clothes, my piggy bank. But today I am successful. I've beat dyslexia. I've made peace with it. I'm dyslexic. I'm proud of it. I'll tell you about it. I'm telling you about it now. We're recording this presentation. I'm actually going to post it online. It's called World I'm Dyslexic. I've experienced a lot of success in spite of dyslexia, and probably perhaps because of it. I mentioned earlier that I'm smarter than you. I honestly think I am. All of you are inside the box. I'm outside of the box because dyslexia won't let me inside the box. I can't conform to the box. So all of your ideas have to pass through the box, filter through the box to get to you. I get all of this out here, and they have to come through me first before they get to filter through that and then get to you. I have no filter with ideas. It's just one after another, and we're going. I want other dyslexics to realize this and feel successful too. We're smart. We think outside the box because we can't get in a box. So some of the successes I have. 3-time TSA national winner. Now the TSA club, really quick, for those of you who don't know what it is the Technology Student Association. It is all the applied sciences so math, like biology, those kind of things, the applied sciences. You get all the really smart kids, and you go to a competition, you compete in it. I'm a 3-time state champion in the prepared speech. I stood up with my speech, I gave my speech to 3 judges, and I've won 3 times with this. I'm actually going to Texas at the end of the month to compete nationally in this. This will be my 2nd time going for that event. And I have an A grade in honors English for 4 years in a row now. 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th grade, I have had an A in honors English. And the science demo team, that was once again just the applied sciences. We took it up, we showed the applied sciences. It was fun. Now, me versus other dyslexics. That was my story. We're going to get a little bit more of my story later on. But that's my story. That's unique to me. Not everyone is going to have the same problems, the same challenges, the same everything about it. It changes for everybody. So what is the same? The frustration, the feelings of being stupid, and the damage to self-esteem. Those 3 will always be there. Those are the constants. So reflecting back on this, on my dyslexia, last October, my mom was talking to my 1st grade teacher just about everything we've learned over the past few years. And my teacher said, quote, "We are not taught any of this in college." Quote. So where do we go? The teachers don't know this. They weren't taught it in college. Your child could be dyslexic. You could be dyslexic. It's possible. It's not such a bad thing. So what do you look for? The symptoms of dyslexia are listed on the backs of your handouts. If you came in, you got a handout. They're these little papers right here. If you didn't get one, raise your hand. We'll run one to you if you want one. Right there. There we go. We'll get them over to you. Now, there's a couple things there. And for those of you watching the video, hold tight. This will come up as the last slide in the video. So symptoms, some of the symptoms of dyslexia are listed on the back of your handout. Once again, just a few of them. Now, there's quite a lot of them on the back there. But if you get online and you Google it, you're going to get some more. Similar to this, you can Google it. Many of the symptoms are part of the normal childhood development. Like we said earlier, it happens. That's part of being a kid growing up. You're going to have to learn your rights and lefts. You're going to put your B's and D's backwards, and it happens. But once again, when it sticks with your child, and for you, for a lot of years, a lot of time, you might maybe be dyslexic. You might maybe want to think about it. So what can you do? Learn about dyslexia. You're all here, you're learning about it. Become your own expert. The more you know and the more you understand, the better that you can help you, and the better that you can help your child. Provide an environment for learning. Getting the resource testing from your school for starters. Go to the language therapist. Principal. All right, talk to the principal. Get the resource testing that your school provides. That's where you start. Identify the accommodations that your child needs. Put in effect a 504 or an IEP. Now, like we mentioned earlier, you can start with your basics in first grade, and in second grade, maybe you don't need some of the stuff, but maybe you need something different. So you got something different to change over the years. Get one. They're great, and use it. If you've got it, use it. It's bringing a gun to a knife fight. That's what it is. It gives you the edge you need to learn. If you've got it, use it. You're not stupid. I brag about mine. I'm up here bragging about it right now. Support the teachers who have stacks of 504s and IEPs. These aren't a big secret that I'm letting up to you right now. They're out there. They've been out there for a while. There's other kids that are going to have them. There's other kids that are going to have them for different reasons and whatnot. Teachers have lots of these. This goes back to being patient. You got to be patient with your school, your principal, your teacher. Work with them, they'll work with you, and you're actually working to the same goal. They don't hate you, they don't hate your child. They're a teacher, they went to college for this. They're there to help you. Take advantage of technology. There's a lot of apps out there, there's a lot of websites out there. There's a whole lot of really great stuff out there. Take advantage of it. And be patient. Really emphasizing this. Remember, your child learns differently than a non-dyslexic, and they learn slower. It takes more time, more repetition. You will need to find maybe a different technique for your child. If plan A doesn't work, go to plan B. If plan B doesn't work, go to plan Z, P, whatever. Find a plan that works, and just be patient with it. You'll get there. Remember repetition. Lots and lots and lots of repetition. 1,500 to 5,000. Two really big numbers. It's going to take that many repetitions. And be patient with your school. At this point, Utah's public schools do not have all the tools that they need to treat dyslexia. Teachers and administrators want to help your child succeed. All right. Partially educated. We're going to start over here. Teachers and administrators want your child to succeed. Mom, what does that say? Patiently. I'm dyslexic. Patiently educate them on your dyslexic child's needs, and they will support you. This goes back to learn about dyslexia, become your own expert. Some of them don't know what this is. This might be a whole brand new concept to them. But once again, they went to school, they went to college to help you, help your child. They went to school, they went to college to help your child learn. They want to help, but you got to let them know how they can help. And be flexible with them. Once again, stack of 504s. Every kid's got a different thing, as well as just the standard teaching. When you have modifications, and then Jimmy over here has modifications, and Susie over here has modifications, and then 6 other kids have these same things. It's going to take a lot of work and a lot of running around on the teacher's part to get there. But they want to help you. Be patient with them. Be flexible. Work with them. Don't just take it and pound it down their throat. Work with them. And be willing to let your child learn their own. So, really good news about this whole deal. Technology provides a really great tool. They can learn at their pace. You can learn at your pace. You can, if it doesn't work for you, you delete it. You find another one, or you exit out. You go find another website. Whatever. It's out there. It's really great. Most states, or more states, are recognizing dyslexia as a legitimate learning disability and incorporating intervention into the school system. Utah is one step closer to getting there. I remember I mentioned that Utah does not have all the resources to treat dyslexia yet. We're getting there. SB 117, Senate Bill 117, passed this year, creates a pilot program to provide intervention for students at risk or experiencing reading difficulties, including dyslexia. That's what it is. If you've got questions on that, I think there's a little bit on the handout, and there will be questions at the end of this. Just raise your hand. We'll get to them. Resources. Your handout has a list of resources. They're helpful. They're useful. Read them. This presentation is being recorded, and it will be available on my Facebook page that I created, Dyslexia Awareness Utah. If you get on Facebook, you type that in. It's going to come up. It's a brand new page. It's coming. But this video and the partial video, we actually had a camera go down, but the partial video from the last presentation I did will be up on the page. You can go back and rewatch it. You can share it to your friends, share it to your family. Maybe your aunt in Kentucky wanted or has similar things going on. You want to give it to them, send it to them. It's there. I want it to be out there. Like I said, I want no one to ever have to go through what I did before. And this information is the start that will get you to bypassing all of the pain and the struggles and just cutting straight to the great happy ending. National organizations. These are just a few of them. There's some more on your handouts. If you get online, you Google it. Google it. They're out there. These are just the ones that I thought were the most helpful. They're on your handouts, so we're going to keep going. Utah chapters of national organizations. These are really great too. There's more on your paper. Social media. Join Decoding Dyslexia Utah. Follow dyslexia awareness groups on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. They're out there. They're really great. They post things like parents can type out their story, what's going on, and what they did, how they did it, and they'll send it to them and they'll post it. I know my story is actually on the Decoding Dyslexia Utah. Is that right? Yeah. My personal story is actually up there. We got a request a couple months ago. My mom typed out condensed, it's a couple paragraphs, from start, middle, end of my dyslexia, end to where I am now. Dyslexia, and posted on there. And just what she did, what my dad did, just everything to get me to where I am now. Websites. Once again, get online, Google them. There's some more on your paper. Now this one in red, at the top. It's on red, I think, on your handout too. If not, it's right there. UtahParentCenter.org. Now this website is really special. It's step-by-step how to get a 504 and IEP. They will walk you through it step-by-step. They'll get you there. And from what I hear, they actually have an advocate that they will send out and help you get there. They'll go to the school with you. They will go to the principal with you, so you're not doing this alone. And they will get you step-by-step through the whole process. So that's a really important one, because an IEP and a 504 is essential. Even if you don't have dyslexia, if you've got something else, I would still look into that. They're really useful. Books. There's a whole lot of books out there. Once again, just the ones that I thought were really important. There's some more on your handouts there. But they're books. There's a lot of information in them. They're just less organized than the website. Tools. More tools. They're on your computers. Google searches. Get online and Google search some of these things. Now, I don't think these are on the handout, so if you want to, get out your phone, take a quick picture. Just when you're in bed tonight, get on. They are on. All right, they're on the handout, so never mind. But Google search these. They will pull up some really great stuff. Things you wanted to know, things you didn't know you wanted to know, but you actually did. And intervention programs. This was the most important thing for me. Run a Google search for your area. The successful programs will be the research-based, multi-sensory, and systematic. Remember, repetition, repetition, repetition. There you go. And dyslexia is a blessing to me. It's not a curse. It's not a disease. It's not cancerous. It is not affecting my life in a negative way anymore. I honestly believe that dyslexia is my advantage on life. It is getting me farther and higher than anybody else out there because I have dyslexia. I do not have that little wall in the box that filters and blocks my ideas. I get all of them, and they're all mine first. Now that's just how I see it. It's a blessing to me. My brain thinks outside of the box. My ideas come more quickly, more easily, and I'm just more creative. I'm bragging about myself. I'm proud of being dyslexic. It's not something to be ashamed of ever. And I remember everything, because back when I couldn't read, I couldn't write, I couldn't spell. If it came out of my teacher's mouth, that's it. I had one chance, and I had to get it. If I didn't get it, I missed it. Because I couldn't write, and even if I couldn't read, so writing didn't me no good. If it came out of my teacher's mouth, that's what I got. I got what she said, what he said, that's all I had for the test next week. So I still remember everything, because I had to memorize absolutely everything. I still do. It's really good. I am dyslexic. That means I see the world much more clearly than you do. I'm not looking through a little box. I'm outside of the box already. I'm dyslexic. I'm proud of it. Thank you guys so much for coming and supporting me tonight. If you have any questions, I'm going to stand up here for the next couple of minutes. We'll get them all answered, or as many as we can answer. Just raise your hand. I'll call on you. Thank you guys so much.
This up on your site today.
What was that?
Is this going to be your presentation? Is that going to be up on Facebook today, tomorrow?
Tomorrow. Tomorrow?
He's asking us to.
It will be up the rough cuts will be up there tomorrow. Just the direct video from right now will be up tomorrow. Now, step-by-step video that will be out there for the people who weren't here. The video for you guys will be up tomorrow. For the people who are watching online for the first time, it's coming. Be patient. It's coming. Give me one quick second. Okay, questions?
So on one of the handouts under tools, it says dyslexia-friendly fonts. What would some of those fonts be?
There is actually a font called Dyslexia. It was researched and it is made for dyslexics. Some of the things it has, the letters are anchored at the bottom, so it's got bold at the bottom because that's supposed to help them visually stay anchored. And I personally use this. I actually wrote a couple of my English papers in it this year. It works for me. It doesn't work for everyone, but it does work. And not everything is going to work for everybody. It's all individual. But they're out there. There's a couple of them, but I know one of them, it is called Dyslexia. And
okay, thanks.
Yeah. That.
Hi. What are some of the signs of dyslexia in math?
In math. Okay. Now, it is actually a totally different form of dyslexia. It is dyscalculia. Dyscalculia? Okay. It is
Dyscalculia.
Dyscalculia. Okay. And it is the math version of dyslexia. For me, they still switch, they still move. Now there isn't the big fancy moving, like visual effects. They're different in my head than what they are on the paper. Now I haven't done as much research on this. Now, yeah, they flip. Come here. Okay. This is my sister. She's actually dyslexic. She was full-blown diagnosed by BYU?
Yep.
With
Dyscalculia.
There we go. Whatever that. Yeah. So here we go. She's going to talk to you about this one.
All right. So for dyscalculia, I went through school, and same thing as Morgan. I thought I was an idiot. I know that I'm not. I'm just as smart as he is, and but I struggled, and I have a really hard time, specifically with math. Now, I got to college, and this is after I had completed all of my requirements for math, all through K through 12, and I finished my college math requirements as well, with the help of my uncle, who was an extremely patient tutor. Now, when I got to college and was finally diagnosed with dyscalculia, I was told that I should not have been required to take anything past 6th grade math. I shouldn't have had to take pre-algebra, algebra 2, nothing, because my case was that severe. Now, like Morgan said, with the decoding, I can speak English. Decoding in English, you have to learn every single rule in order to be able to read a sentence. I was the same way in math. You could tell me that 1 plus 1 is 2, but I had no idea why. I couldn't remember that unless you told me 5,000 times. And so learning basic addition, basic subtraction, it was a nightmare for me. And I would do a problem and then look at the same problem and have no idea how to solve that problem, even though I'd just done it. And I would come up with the most ridiculous solutions, and my teacher would ask me why, and I'd say, I have no idea. And my teacher would ask, well, did you not pay attention? Yes, I paid attention, but what came out of your mouth was not English. I have no idea what you're telling me. So getting through that is a lot of what Morgan said with the dyslexia. Time and repetition, yeah. And also, you have to sit there and make sure you check everything 5 million times. Because like you said, you copy something down, you copy it down again, those two things are not the same. You write 2,493, the next time you write it, it's 2,439. And I will never catch that. And just getting through it, it's a lot of what Morgan said. Repetition.
Here we go. Any others? Questions? Comments? Yeah, right.
Is it different reading paper versus reading a screen or a computer or an iPad?
Yeah, it is. So reading a paper, printed physical words, is actually harder for me than it is to read like an iPad or a Nook or an LCD screen. Okay. Now this isn't just me. There is actually studies that show it is easier for dyslexic to read an LCD screen or a tablet or computer than it is a physical paper. If you talk to another dyslexic, they can tell you the same thing. It is easier. I don't know why. All I can tell you is, yes, it is easier to read an LCD screen for me than it is paper.
Do the words move on the screen as much as the paper?
No,
Is that
they don't.
what you're saying?
They don't.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know what that is. Maybe it's just because they're naturally moving because it's a computer. That's what they do. I honestly have no idea. All I can tell you is that it is easier for me to read a computer than it is to read a newspaper. Anything else? If there's any questions that you think of later, or anything you just don't want to ask now, give me a message, or send me a Facebook message. The Dyslexia Awareness Utah, that is my page. I run it all personally. It all comes to me directly. If you just want to ask me something else, something personal, something later, go ahead and ask me. I'll answer pretty much anything you can think of. Thank you. Thank you guys for coming and supporting me.